Because if you're going to move into the zone of the transcendent, you have to take on the requisite responsibility, or the process of transcendence turns into something like a descent into unstructured chaos. And that's not an improvement. It's just a movement from tyranny into the desert. That's a good way of thinking about it symbolically. So what happens in the Exodus story, because it also details out how this should be structured, is that Moses has a vision of individual responsibility and social organization that's maximally responsibility based. So Moses tells the Pharaoh to let his people go, but that's not the phrase. The phrase is, God tells Moses to say this. He's, let my people go so they may worship me in the desert. And so you move out of the tyranny. The vision that's put forward in the book of Exodus is a vision of multidimensional, responsible identity. So you take on responsibility for your own life. You take on responsibility for the life of your wife or your husband. You take on responsibility for your family. You're a model for your community. You serve your state. You do what you can for your nation, and that's all united under your highest upward orientation. And that's ordered freedom. That's ordered freedom. It's not the same as the hedonistic freedom that the people like Nixon and the sort of right-wing conservatives of the 1960s were terrified by, that kind of hedonistic anarchy.
That was the problem.
It's a major problem. Well, it's still a problem now to some degree, because people who are pursuing, let's say, nonconformist freedom don't understand that the replacement for freedom isn't hedonistic anarchy. And that's partly because it's self-defeating. It's also pointless. It's also pointless and meaningless. And it's partly pointless and meaningless because imagine, and this is part of the implication of the story of Abraham, is that the instinct of meaning comes to you when you pursue a pathway that specifies, what would you say, the limitless development of your integrated psyche. But it's not just the psyche, it's the integration of the psyche with all the different levels of society. Like, for example, insofar as you're well put together, you're going to be a highly functional husband to your wife, right? Like, your own psychological organization, integration, cannot be divorced from the union that you make with your wife. They're the same thing. And then you can extend that to your kids. For you to get your act together means simultaneously that you establish the proper relationship with your wife and with your children. Those are the same thing. And then if you can manage that, you do the same thing with the broader community. It all stacks up musically. And so then mental health doesn't become how your psyche is organized internally, which is what the clinical psychologists misled people into believing.